Hey, I'm Kelley, the founder of Become Centered. Today's short practice is ideal for hikers, runners, and anyone who feels tension in their feet, ankles, lower legs, upper legs, and hips. Before we begin the practice, if you haven't yet, please hit subscribe so that you can stay up to date with these short sequences that I will be sharing regularly. For today's practice, you will need a bolster of some sort. Foam roller works if you don't have a bolster, a thin cushion or folded blanket, and then a yoga strap or a dog leash or a belt, anything that mimics a yoga strap. Okay, when you're ready, let's lie down on the floor and grab our props close by. So, bring your bolster to your left side. We'll need that in a moment. And then come and lie down on your back. And if you find that when you're lying on your back, your chin is really pushed up to the ceiling, you're kind of looking behind you, grab that thin pillow and place it under your head until it feels like you're looking straight up to the ceiling and your neck is relaxed. And then hug your legs in towards you. Hug them in nice and tight. And now begin to take your knees in small circles. Let's keep our knees together for now. And then go the opposite way with the circles. So what we're doing here is just warming up the lower back and seeing how our lower back feels. Sometimes if we don't have a strong core, strong abdominal muscles, then running and hiking can start to compress into the lower back, creating some discomfort. Hug your legs in. Now take your knees wide towards your shoulders. Push them forwards, bring them together, pull them into your body, wide, forwards, together, in. Let's keep going like that. So as I was saying, if you feel tightness in your lower back from running and hiking, then check out one of my core exercises that's on this YouTube channel. Go the opposite way with your circles now. And then hug your legs in towards you. Reach your left leg along the floor and let's just stay there with that stretch. Actually, really reach your left heel forwards. See how that feels. And also become aware of how you're breathing. Breathe deeper and smoother than usual. Ideally, we begin our inhales by our lower ribs. And then just let the breath go as you exhale. Bolsters at your left side. We're going to twist our hips over to the left and place your foot and knee on your bolster. If it doesn't quite make it, flip your bolster up to the higher level. And then bring your left hand onto your thigh and lift up your ribs a little bit and turn them right. Let's stay here breathing. Make an extra reach out for your right hand, palm is up, so that your spine twists like a spiral staircase. Again, bring your attention to breathing into your lower ribs and just letting the breath go in a relaxing way. So you might feel that your lower back is getting some release. You may also feel that but you've got a nice big stretch there into your right hip. One more deep breath. And then as you exhale, narrow your waist so your core muscles are on, and bring your hips out of the twist. Bring both feet flat onto the floor and lengthen your torso straight down your mat. Lift your bolster up and over to the other side. Right leg reaches forwards, left leg hugs in. Let's stay there again, breathing and reaching through your right heel. So these stretching sequences can be done straight after your run or your hike. We're reclining, so you're getting to rest while you stretch. One more deep breath here. And then as you exhale, twist your hips over to the right. Right hand can be on your thigh there. Lift your ribs up a little bit, turn them left, and reach out through your left hand, palm is up. And then come back to your deep, smooth breathing. So as far as alignment goes here, I like to, for instance, on this side, my left hip is not quite on top of my right. To me, that feels like it's a really spacious rotation in the whole of my spine from tailbone to top of head. Our spine does have limited range of motion in the twists, and it seems that when we stack the left hip right on top of the right, then you won't be able to get your right shoulder down, and if you force it, you could stress joints in your spine and your lower back. So of course, let's not do that. A few more deep breaths here. And then we'll exhale, use our strong core and come on out of the twist and place both feet flat on the floor. Again, lift your hips up and lengthen your torso straight down the mat. You want your strap for this one. Just have it close by, and then hug your right leg in towards you. Let's stay with that for a moment. Some bodies will feel a stretch right there. And now place the clasp of your hands around the back of your thigh. Try and keep your bum heavy down onto the floor. So what I mean is like the back of your pelvis stays rooted down. That's going to be relevant in just a moment as you push your right foot towards the ceiling. Again, pelvis stays on the floor, and then bend your knee. Exhale to push your foot to the ceiling, and inhale, bend your knee. Keep going like that. So we're stretching our hamstrings and the calf muscle that goes past the back of your knee. If it's not possible to fully straighten your leg, that's completely fine. Just go to where it is possible, and your muscles will begin to release over time. Okay, now push your foot up towards the ceiling, and now turn your foot in circles, and we're opening up our ankle joint. Sometimes it's sort of crackly in there, a little bit like Rice Krispies. Go the opposite way with the circles. And now point and flex your foot. And you'll probably be feeling a bigger stretch through the back of your leg as you do that. This is so good for runners and cyclists. And now stay with a flex, so you're pushing your heel up towards the ceiling. Look at your foot and try and have your big toe and your little toe as close to you, so they're even left and right. Sometimes there's a little twist in your foot there. Okay, breathe with that. And then let's bend our knee and place the strap around your foot and push your foot back up to the ceiling again. Remember, it's totally fine to have a little bend in your knee. And now what we're going to do is create a bit of friction on the sole of our foot, massaging the fascia of our foot. This is so good for those of us who tend to get plantar fasciitis, okay? So get a nice quick-ish action there, so you feel the heat building up. Usually feels pretty good. Get the ball of your foot, the arches of the foot, your heel. Our poor feet often don't get enough attention, loving attention, so feel like you're giving yourself, your foot, a little bit of TLC right here. Okay, let's have the strap on the ball of the foot and pull your bolster up towards the outer edge of your hip if it moved. We're rotating the thigh in the hip socket right now, so we're going to turn the thigh and foot to the equivalent, of 2 o'clock, and then back to 12 o'clock, rotating to 2 o'clock, to 12 o'clock. Let's do that 2 more times. Maybe you're feeling your hips stretch there, and then 1 more time, stay with it. And now take your right leg out to the side and towards your ear. So look at my alignment here if you're not sure. I've got my right arm on the floor, and then for a bigger stretch, reach your left heel straight forward, so left leg is straight, and breathe. Reach through both heels in their direction, so you get this lovely big stretch on your inner right thigh. Breathe deeply. The bolster is supporting your thigh and helping you keep your left hip grounded onto the floor. Come back to deep breathing. And imagine you can breathe straight into what feels tight. So this deep, smooth breathing is helping circulate red blood cells around your body into your muscles, really helping lubricate them. Let's take 1 more deep breath, reaching through both heels. As you exhale, narrow your waist, and with that steadiness, bring your foot straight up to the ceiling. Okay, let's pause here for a moment. Just going to move my bolster so you can see what I'm doing. Right thumb comes into the crease of your right hip on the outside edge, and do a little push forwards. Try and keep the back of your hip, the back of your pelvis on the floor, and gently take your leg to the left about an inch, inch and a half. And you're probably going to feel a bigger stretch through the back of your leg and outside edge of your leg. It's not a big movement, but probably you'll feel a big stretch there. And again, imagine you can breathe into that tightness. One more deep breath, and then bring your foot straight up to the ceiling, and we will take the strap off, bend your knee, and place your foot flat on the floor. Just notice how it feels to have your foot flat on the floor now that you just woke up the fascia of your foot by doing the friction rub with the strap. Usually feels pretty good. Okay, when you're ready, lift your bolster over to the other side and hug your left leg in towards you. Let's pause here for a moment. And then place your hands around the back of your thigh and slowly begin to push your foot to the ceiling and then bend your knee. Exhale to push to the ceiling and inhale to bend your knee. Keep going. Nice, smooth movements. And then push your foot up towards the ceiling. Remember, your knee might not end up being fully straight. That is fine. Do try to have your heel over your hip. So if your knee is bent, have your knee closer to your torso and your heel over your hip. And now pointing and flexing with your foot, opening up your calf there. If your leg is straight, you're going to really feel it go through the back of the knee. And again, let's just pause with our heel pushing up towards the ceiling. Look at your big toe and your little toe. Is one closer to the ceiling? Adjust so that your foot is level and breathe. And now turn your foot in circles one way. And then the opposite way. Okay, and then pop the strap around the ball of your foot and push your foot back up to the ceiling again. Begin to make that nice massage friction by pulling the strap backwards and forwards, warming up the fascia of your foot. Get the ball of your foot, the arch, the heel. And then pause with the strap on the ball of your foot. And at your hip socket, your thigh turns out, your foot turns to 10 o'clock and then 12 o'clock. 10 o'clock and 12 o'clock. 2 more times. This time, keep your foot turned out. Have your bolster by your left hip, strap in left hand, and reach your foot out to the side and towards your left ear. And then plug your pelvis down on the floor. If this feels like a really deep stretch here, stay with it, or straighten your right leg forwards, pushing forwards through the heel. Breathing deeply. So you might feel a number of areas opening. If you're pushing your right heel forwards, it'll be the front of the hip, those tiny hip flexors. Certainly inside edge of your left thigh. And then breathe deeply as if you're breathing straight into what feels tight, and that will help release the tension. Remember, your bolster is supporting your thigh so that your right hip can stay grounded. Deep, smooth breaths. Take a huge breath in, and then as you exhale, narrow your waist, strong core, lift your leg up, foot faces the ceiling, strap in right hand, left thumb into the crease of your left hip on the outside edge. Root the back of your hip down there, the back of your pelvis, and take your legs slightly right until you feel a deep stretch through the outside edge of your thigh. And again, imagine you can breathe straight into that tightness, releasing the tension. One more deep breath, and then bring your foot straight up to the ceiling. Bend your knee and bring your foot down. Let's bring both feet flat to the floor, so knees over heels, and slide your bolster underneath your feet, so you might have to come up for that one. So it's going to be just in front of your hips there. And then bring your feet up on top of the bolster. And now bring the soles of your feet together on the bolster. Do a tiny tug of your tailbone and let your thighs relax down. What we're going to do now is bring our hands into like a cactus position. So elbows are bent, palms are faced up, opening up your chest as well. So certainly for runners, we tend to get tight in our chest and neck. So this is a sneaky way of including that stretch. See if you can relax your inner thighs. And maybe breathing into your tummy helps with that relaxation here. Okay, one more deep breath. And then as you exhale, narrow your waist, bring your hands to your thighs and bring your knees straight up. Rest your feet flat on the bolster, and if that doesn't feel quite possible, just wiggle away from the bolster about 1/2 inch and it might feel better. Hug your right leg in towards you again. Flex your right foot so your toes are going towards your shin. And now cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Bring your left hand onto your hip and push your hip forwards a little bit and keep that position. Now right hand presses on your thigh and pushes your right knee forwards. We're in an outer rotation here with our thigh, and breathe. So notice if your left hand wasn't on your hip, then your left hip might slide up as you push your right knee forwards, and it kind of defeats the object. So make sure that your left hip is moving away from your left shoulder. Your left hand is helping you, and then push your right knee forward so it's truly a right hip stretch rather than a hip wiggle. And breathe. That might be a new experience to you if you've done this pose many times before, but without that awareness. Feel free to stay right here or relax that. Bring your hands around the back of your left thigh and hug your left thigh in towards you while plugging your hips down onto the floor, plugging your pelvis onto the floor. Look at your left knee, and is it right on top of the hip socket? If it's not, slightly go left for a deeper stretch in your right hip. And again, imagine you can breathe into your right hip. If this is feeling a fairly easy stretch, then you could go a little deeper and clasp your hands around your left shin and pull in. We want to find something that feels like a relieving stretch. It might be deep, but it needs to feel relieving. So if hands clasped around your shin is too much, it's not relieving, go back to behind your thigh. Check your breathing deeply. One more deep breath. And then we'll exhale, place your left foot on the bolster and then your right foot. Let's just pause for a moment. And then hug your left leg in towards you. Flex your left foot towards your shin and cross your ankle over. So again, right hand on right hip, pushing right hip forwards so there won't end up being a wiggle in the hips. And then left thigh pushes forwards to really isolate an outer rotation in your left hip joint. And breathe deeply. And exhale, strong core, and hug your right leg in towards you. Let's begin with hands around the back of the thigh, plugging your pelvis down into the floor, feeling that deep stretch on the outside edge of your left thigh and hip. Look at your right knee and adjust so it's right on top of your hip socket and pull in from there. Make sure that your neck and shoulders are relaxed here, and if you need that pillow, grab it. If you wish to go deeper, hands clasp around the front of your shin. Keep your breath nice and smooth. One more deep breath. And then exhale, place your feet up on the bolster. Then we're going to grab our ankles and place our feet outside edge of our hips. So can you get your feet on the floor, pretty much outside edge of your hips? Now I'm going to come towards the right first so that you can see what we're doing. So you might want to watch this first. Take your arms out wide, palms up, and then your hips will rotate a little bit right. You're going to end up with your right thigh on the floor, outwards, and your left knee reaching forwards onto that bolster. So it's a big stretch all the way through this front edge of your left hip. Right hand can be on inner thigh. So if you just watch that, let's get back to starting position and we'll do it together. You're going to grab your ankles, have your heels on the floor. So my feet are turned out to 10 and 2 o'clock. Arms go out wide, palms are faced up. Hips rotate a little right. Right thigh flat on the floor. Left knee reaching forwards onto the bolster. Tailbone reaching forwards towards the bolster. Maybe reach your left arm up and over by your ear for an even bigger stretch, and breathe deeply. So notice that when you inhale, your ribs expand, and that helps stretch your muscles even more. So this is a really nice dynamic way of opening up tight muscles. If your left knee doesn't make it onto the bolster, don't worry about that. Reach your left knee forwards. If for any reason this pose doesn't feel right for you, of course, come out of it. We're really isolating the big hip flexor right now, which is the psoas. There's the psoas major and minor. The psoas major attaches into all our lumbar vertebrae. It comes through the inside edge of your hip bone and to the inner upper thigh. It's a very big, long muscle. Used a lot when we are hiking and running. Maybe you're feeling some relief right now. Muscles starting to open up and lengthen. Let's take another deep breath in. And then as you exhale, narrow your waist for a strong core and slowly move back to starting position with feet flat on the floor. Grab your ankles again, step your heels up towards the outer edge of your hips. Again, your feet and knees are facing at 10 and 2 o'clock. Take your arms out wide. Your hips rotate left, left outer thigh rests on floor, left knee on bolster. Reach your knee forwards. Look for that big stretch through the front of your right hip's off the floor. If you'd like it to be a little deeper, reach right arm overhead by your ear. And breathe deeply to help the muscles release. One more deep breath. As you exhale, narrow your waist, strengthen your core, and bring your knees up to the ceiling, coming out of the rotation. Let's just pause for a moment. And now step your feet back up onto the bolster again. Bring the soles of your feet together again and let your knees come out wide. Do a little tuck of your tailbone towards the bolster. And if you liked the cactus position for your arms last time, let's take it again. Breathing into your tummy. One more deep breath. As you exhale, narrow your waist, hands to outer thighs, bring your knees together, and then hug your legs in towards you and pause right there. We're going to finish off with a slow flowing movement on kneeling on knees and hands. So let's come around to the side and up to a seat. And let's swap the bolster out for your cushion or your blanket, whatever you are using. And then come to kneeling with the cushion underneath you. So you want your knees underneath your hips and your hands underneath your shoulders. Sort the hair out. And have your toes tucked under to begin with. And as you exhale, reach back, bum onto heels. Walk your hands forwards another hand's length and bring your ears down in line with your upper arms. Let's just pause with that good toe stretch. Then as you inhale, come forwards with your hips, untuck your toes, and exhale, sit back on your heels. Inhale, come forwards, tuck your toes under, and exhale, sit back onto your heels. Inhale, come forwards, untuck your toes, sit back onto your heels. Inhale, come forwards, tuck your toes under, sit back onto your heels. Inhale, come forwards, untuck your toes, and sit back onto your heels. And let's stay there, breathing. Slide your hands underneath your shoulders and inhale to come up to a seat. So if it feels okay on your knees and your ankles, let's stay here breathing. If it does not feel good, then you can flip the bolster under your heels like that and see if that feels okay. If it feels too much on your ankles, bring your hands down, less weight there. But what we want to do is stretch out the front of the ankles a little bit. Maybe you feel it a bit in your knees. And we'll pause here, eyes closed, breathing deeply. And then bring your palms together at your chest. Lift your chest up, tuck your chin, and take a little bow towards yourself as a way of sealing our practice. Lift your head and bring your hands to the floor. Let's move our props out of the way and come around to a seat. Thank you so much for joining me in this nice slow practice that's really great for our feet, ankles, knees, legs, and hips. If you really appreciated this practice and would like to contribute a few bucks towards these videos, then you can do that by going to my website, and there is a link below to do that. Thank you so much for joining me with this practice. Remember to hit subscribe. Remember to send a comment about what you really liked about this practice, and then also what you would like for the future. I always endeavor to meet people's requests. Take good care of yourself. Until next time, be well.